First, let me thank everybody for coming today and listening while I share a little bit about the history of mixed martial arts in America. In 1993, the Ultimate Fighting Championship brought mixed martial arts to American soil for the very first time. That event had 2,000 people watch it live and another 86,000 households across America buy the pay-per-view event itself. Fast forward 16 years, and the Ultimate Fighting Championship held its 100th event with over 20,000 people in attendance and 1.75 million people buying across the country. To understand the exponential growth of mixed martial arts in America, you first have to understand the history of mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts dates its history back to the Olympic Games and a form of fighting called pankration. It was a mixture of wrestling and boxing. Once the Olympic Games were extinguished by the Romans, mixed martial arts kind of went away. There were events held sporadically, mostly in Thailand and some other Southeastern Asian countries. But mixed martial arts itself didn't really come on the scene until the early 1900s in Brazil. The Gracie family started a completely new style of martial arts called jiu-jitsu. This style incorporated many different styles of martial arts. The very first tournaments were called Vel Tudo tournaments, and they would pit fighters from any style of martial arts against each other to find out which style was superior. In America, you had people training in Taekwondo, you had people training in Judo, you had boxers, you had wrestlers, and nobody ever came together to teach the different aspects of each of these disciplines. Well, in the early 1980s, Royce Gracie came to America and started teaching his unique style of jiu-jitsu and brought with him the Vel Tudo concepts that were popular in Brazil. This culminated in that very first Ultimate Fighting Championship event. Royce Gracie's nephew, Royce Gracie, won the very first Ultimate Fighting Championship event with his style of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Those very first Ultimate Fighting Championships were the springboard that led the company to become a billion-dollar company. But those first events were also what almost sunk the company. When the Ultimate Fighting Championship first started out, there were little to no rules. Most events were publicized as being no-holds-barred fights. With little to no rules, no weight classes, it wasn't uncommon to see a 600-pound sumo wrestler fight a 200-pound jiu-jitsu fighter. The mixed martial arts came under a lot of scrutiny for that. So much scrutiny, in fact, John McCain himself wanted the sport outlawed. He wrote a letter to all 50 governors urging them to ban the Ultimate Fighting Championship on their soil. Because of this, the Ultimate Fighting Championship went from having 86,000 people see that first pay-per-view event to averaging under 30,000 people buying the pay-per-view events on a regular basis. Because of that, the Ultimate Fighting Championship had to move around from state to state in small southern towns mostly, not drawing very many people, and being considered a sport on the fringes of society. It wasn't considered legitimate at all. That would change in 2001. The Ultimate Fighting Championship had to sell itself under duress because of the financial strain of being a fringe sport. The new owners, under President Dana White, decided that they were going to rebrand the sport and make it legitimate. With that came weight classes. With that came rules to ensure the safety of fighters. With that came them pushing for state licensing boards to regulate their sport. Once the Nevada Fighting Commission, California Fighting Commission, New York and New Jersey fight commissions sanctioned the sport, it started to gain its legitimacy. And once it became legitimate, it started becoming this mainstream sport that we see today. From its humble beginnings of just under 2,000 people and 86,000 pay-per-view events sold, to it being on death's doorstep in the late 90s, where they were playing in Mobile, Alabama, or Tuscaloosa, real small venues, to now being seen in 30 different countries, selling out events in Brazil, every event they've had in America for the last 5 years, selling out events in Europe, in London, and even in Abu Dhabi. They just sold out an event recently. The sport has become a mainstream sport in America, and it's gained that legitimacy. So much so that Senator John McCain, who once compared mixed martial arts to human cockfighting, that the sport has grown up. It's gained legitimacy. People are respecting mixed martial arts fighters like they used to respect boxers. The Ultimate Fighting Championship went from a group of small people who had an idea to bring many fighters together and fight any style that they wanted. From that small idea, we see $1 billion operation today. Whether you like mixed martial arts or not, whether you think it's blood sport, whether you think it's not a sport at all, there is no doubt that mixed martial arts is here to stay. Thank you very much.